Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is stage 2 of Tour of Suisse. 178 kilometers, about 110 miles in length. 3 categorized climbs on today's race, but it's really the last climb that's going to be the decider on who wins this stage and possibly can take the yellow race leader's jersey. We already know Stefan Kuhn, the FDJ rider, he's in yellow, but he's not a great climber, but he has some power. So there's a chance he can make it over this climb depending on how that last climb is really attacked by the favorites. Now the race starts. There's 4 riders up the front. Dalcin and Zukowski ride for the American team Rally Racing, and Imhoff for the Swiss national team. Tom Boley for Cofidis. He'll put on a great show on today's stage, fighting with the rally guys for KOM points. Tom Boley at the end of the stage, he'll tie on KOM points, but he'll get the jersey at the end of the stage. Imhoff, the Swiss national team rider there, he really puts on a show. He's the last to get caught on today's stage, and he'll get caught on the final climb. Now, the group of favorites back there with 65 kilometers to go. FDJ's been riding all day. Now we start seeing DeKooning Quick-Step get on the front with about 60 kilometers. When you see DeKooning get on the front, now we know exactly what their MO is for the day. You know the last climb is going to be hard. Julian Alaphilippe has a chance at stealing the race leader's yellow jersey and, of course, winning the stage. Along with DeKooning Quick-Step, Alpecin Phoenix join in. Now we know that Mathieu van der Poel has some legs and he's here to play. That team will ride when they go up over the climb with 40 kilometers to go. On the descent, Mathieu van der Poel will light the descent up and start causing chaos back there in the field of GC favorites. Big splits are caused in the back. With 20 kilometers to go, Quebeca Assos, with Dominique Posavivo back there, has lost the front group, and his whole Assos team is on the front chasing as hard as they can. The camera will pan down. We'll see 3 Ineos riders there. And it's none other than Rowan Dennis back there and Luke Rowe. So up front, Richard Carapaz, their GC race leader here at Tour of Suisse, is quite a bit isolated when you're talking about losing riders like Rowan Dennis and Luke Rowe before the final climb starts. Carapaz does have teammates with him, but it's not that full strength that we're used to seeing from Ineos. Certainly not what we just witnessed at Giro d'Italia, and definitely not what we just witnessed yesterday when we're talking about Dauphiné. So Carapaz, he looks fantastic. He's in the front group, but he has about half the strength of the team that we've seen in Dauphiné and Giro d'Italia when we're talking about their leaders at that race. The climb really starts proper with about 9 kilometers to go. Alpecin Phoenix will lead us into that climb, but it's DeKooning Quick-Step hopping on the front with my old teammate Dries Devenens on the front for Julian Alaphilippe. Then it's Eddie Dunbar, the Ineos rider, that's at the front, and he's riding for his race leader Richard Carapaz, setting a strong pace, and he'll do that till Julian Alaphilippe throws in the first dig that's going to hurt everybody's leg. His attack is blowing up the group back there. Richard Carapaz, though, no problem. He's light on the pedals, following the world champion's attack with what looks like ease. Michael Woods, the Canadian. We had 2 Canadians in the break, and they've both gotten popped out the back of the field. Now there's the 3rd Canadian, Michael Woods. He's a legend, and he's up there with Julian Alaphilippe, and he's going pull for pull. Michael Woods will throw in the next attack, and we'll start seeing really the group of favorites suffering. Alaphilippe looks good. Carapaz looks fantastic. But Mathieu van der Poel is back there, and he's opened up a gap, and he's got to close it. With Mathieu van der Poel, we have Jakob Fuglsang back there. Up front, Max Schachmann, who looked like he'd been struggling, is starting to come around. Julian Alaphilippe will throw in his second attack. Again, cannot distance Max Schachmann. Michael Woods, and the man Carapaz is on form. What I saw today, I'm thinking Carapaz is Ineos Tour de France race leader when we get there in July. But let's finish the race. As we go over the top, Max Schachmann starts feeling good just before the summit, and he'll throw in the final dig before the climb finishes. At 6 kilometers to go, it's Max Schachmann, Julian Alaphilippe, Carapaz is there. Wout Poels, I believe, is still there. It was hard to tell from the picture. It's either Wout Poels, maybe Mader, but I believe it's Wout Poels. As they go down the descent, Mathieu van der Poel locked on just over the top of the climb there, no problem. And they're going all down the descent with all the favorites and big one-day hitters and GC favorites at this Tour of Suisse. the descent. They'll make it through the descent all safe. They'll get to the bottom, and that's when we see with 3.5 kilometers to go, Mathieu van der Poel throws in a great attack and gets a gap right away. Jakob Fuglsang's trying to chase. Wout Poels is trying to chase. Max Schachmann's back there trying to chase. Behind that, what it looked like to me, and they only showed it for a brief moment, Julian Alaphilippe looked like there was some tactics being played between him and Woods and a little bit of hesitation. That's causing the group up front with Mathieu van der Poel to continue his gap, and the other 3-4 guys chasing, they're getting a gap back there on the rest of the GC favorites. Richard Carapaz will jump, and he's going to chase all the way from about 2.5 kilometers solo and never catch that front group. Up front, Max Schachmann jumps away from Wout Poels and bridges up with just under 2 kilometers to go. I believe it's about 1.6, 1.7K, and he'll catch on to Mathieu van der Poel. This was amazing. This means Schachmann is on form when you can bridge across to Mathieu van der Poel. He'll get there. Mathieu van der Poel will look over his shoulder, wanting Max Schachmann to take a pull. When he looks over his shoulder, and I'm laughing here, but I'm serious, believe it or not, Max Schachmann is shaking his head no like this. Here's the problem if you're Mathieu van der Poel when you're looking back at Max Schachmann. Schachmann always shakes his head. He's got a bobble head. It's impressive. I'm laughing here, but I'm 100% serious. If you see Max Schachmann, the Bora Hansgrohe rider, his head is always shaking. So Mathieu van der Poel is looking back, and Max Schachmann's head shaking like this. Even on the TV screen, I don't know if Max Schachmann is shaking his head because he's saying, I'm not going to come through and work. Are you crazy? You're Mathieu van der Poel. Eventually, Max Schachmann does come through, so we know it was just a little head bobble that he had going on. Schachmann is up there. He's racing for GC, so he's going to pull through. In my mind, if I had bridged across to Mathieu van der Poel and I got a chance to gain time on the GC guys in a stage race, a one-day race different. If I bridged across to Mathieu van der Poel at a one-day stage race, I would never take a pool with him with less than 1.5K to go. But in a GC race, you know you're going to lose to Mathieu van der Poel anyways. It's like 0.001 chance of me winning, and probably Max Schachmann the same kind of odds of him winning against van der Poel. So I got no problem with Max pulling at this point in time. Gain as much time as you possibly can on all the favorites back there chasing Richard Carapaz, Julian Alaphilippe, Wout Poels. You've already distanced him. Get as much time as you can. He does start pulling, and then Mathieu van der Poel takes off with about 300 meters to go, just gapping Max Schachmann off all the way to the line to take an amazing, fantastic, beautiful first win at Tour of Suisse. Was his first time showing here at Tour of Suisse, first road race, and he wins. Mathieu van der Poel was just impressive on today's stage. Had to suffer a lot to make it over that last climb because in my mind, Julian Alaphilippe was strong up that last climb. Richard Carapaz was just amazing, light on the pedals and looked fantastic. Mathieu van der Poel struggled a little bit to close the gap, but he closed it before the top and then put in an amazing attack at 3.5 kilometers to go, holding everyone off but Max Schachmann. Schachmann, great ride. Ends up finishing second on the stage. Third is Wout Poels back there, the Bahrain victorious rider. Again, another Bahrain victorious rider riding strong. We've seen him at the Giro d'Italia. We've seen him at Dauphiné. And now we're seeing Bahrain victorious riding solid here on stage 2 of Tour of Suisse. Julian Alaphilippe finishes just in the back at 4 seconds back. Race leader Stefan Kuhn, who suffered going up the last climb, he held on to that group, went down the descent. It was Michael Matthews with him, the Bike Exchange rider. I'm sure they were pulling as hard as they can, doing damage control. When that group comes across 22 seconds back from race leader Mathieu van der Poel, personally, I thought he lost a jersey for sure. We're waiting. Minutes go by, and now they're stamping the jerseys for who's going to be race leader on today's stage. When they pull the heat iron off, they lift the jersey and it shows FDJ there. I'm sitting on the couch like, there's no way he could have won. Then I remembered Julian Alaphilippe was 4 seconds back from race leader Mathieu van der Poel. Julian Alaphilippe will lose chance at winning the race leader's jersey by just 1 second. Stefan Kuhn, who came across the line dejected looking, Sure, he went back to his team bus because it took them a long time to find that Swiss rider and get him back to the podium to put that yellow jersey on again. It was an exciting race. Mathieu van der Poel's on form. He's won in spectacular style. Julian Alaphilippe, be curious to see if he decides to race for GC here. He looked spectacular up the last climb. No reason why he can't in this field. And Carapaz. Keep an eye on Carapaz. He looks amazing. I think Carapaz is going to win this Tour of Suisse, and after that go into the Tour de France and will be the Ineos race leader at the Tour de France when we get there in July. Hope you guys like my take on the butterfly effect. It was a fantastic day of racing here on Stage 2 of Tour of Suisse. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you real soon.